Now let's talk about the prison system. The first prison in America was founded in 1790 by the Pennsylvania Quakers, which was a Christian group. They wanted something that was less cruel and brutal than the dungeon prisons and jails, so they created a place where prisoners could read scriptures and repent, thinking that would reform prisoners. And that was a source by pbs.org. These are the two types of prisons. We have the public sector, we also have the private sector. The public prisons or state-operated institutions are entirely owned and run by the government and are mainly funded through tax dollars. They are currently facing issues of being overcrowded and understaffed. This makes private prisons seem like a valuable option to combat those issues. So the increase in the issues of overpopulation creates a demand for more private prisons. Now let's address private prisons. Privately owned prisons are run by a business or a company. They are bought by private firms from the government, either local, federal, or state, and become accountable for maintaining them. The government is responsible for providing prisoners, and the prison works like a business and makes a profit. The prisons are owned by the firm who are responsible for everyday maintenance and staffing. In turn, the government pays the prison for the inmates' daily costs. Let's look at the breakdown of this, right? Every taxpayer has to pay about $250 annually to fund the public prison system. Unknowingly, this is what we agree to as citizens of the United States. All of this is mandated by who? The master. Come on. But it gets worse. When the public sector is overpopulated, they can now pay and provide private prison owners to house overpopulated inmates with our tax dollars, incentivizing imprisonment through monetization. Let me say that part again. They can now pay and provide private prison owners to house overpopulated inmates with our tax dollars, incentivizing imprisonment through monetization. What a system. America the free. Private prisons are considered a corporation. Corporations by law can raise money by selling a percentage of profits in a company. In 2018 alone, private prison companies received about $2.3 billion in federal immigration and corrections contracts, according to the data compiled by Public Citizen. Prison labor, let's talk about that. In the United States, is referred to as insourcing. We've heard of outsourcing for cheap labor. We have the rights and power to insource for cheap labor within the United States. Under the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, employers receive a tax credit of $2,400 for every work release inmate they employ as a reward for hiring risky targeted groups, RTG. Risky targeted groups. $2,400 per person. According to the Left Business Observer, the federal prison industry produces 100% of all military helmets, war supplies, and other equipment. The workers supply 98% of the entire market for equipment assembly services, 93% of paint brushes and paint, 92% of stove assemblies, 46% of body armor, 36% of home appliances, 30% of headphones, microphones, speakers, etc., and 21% of office furniture. Airplanes, airplane parts, medical supplies, and much, much more are definitely included. I mean, prisoners are even raising seeing eye dogs for blind people. What? Well, with all of this productivity, an inmate makes on average about 90 cents to $4 a day. Here are some of the biggest corporations to use such practices, but there's hundreds more, and I can guarantee you Microsoft is in there somewhere. They hiding though, but they in there somewhere, right? But let's look at a few. Now let's look at McDonald's. McDonald's use inmates to produce frozen foods. Inmates process beef for patties. They may also process breads, milks, and chicken products. That fake chicken they use, yeah, they probably may make that, yeah. Wendy's is another one. Wendy's have also been identified as relying on prison labor to reduce its cost of operations. Inmates also produce beef for patties. That's a popular thing in the fast food world. Now let's look at Walmart. The company uses inmates for manufacturing purposes. The company hires inmates to clean products of UPC barcodes so that products can be resold again. Starbucks is another one. They actually have their own subcontracting solutions company to hire workers. Check this out. The company uses inmates to cut costs as well. Starbucks subcontractor Signature Packaging Solutions hires Washington State prisoners to package holiday coffees. Isn't that something? They have their own temp agency. In a nutshell. Sprint is another one. Inmates provide telecommunication services. Inmates are also used in call centers. Verizon. You can't talk about Sprint without talking about Verizon. Verizon uses inmates to provide telecommunication services as well. Victoria's Secret is another one. The company uses inmates to cut production costs. In South Carolina, female inmates were used to sew products. Also, inmates reportedly has been used to replace made-in tags, which are like made in America tags. All right. So Fidelity Investment, 401k, or other investments are held by Fidelity. And in some cases, some of your money invested by Fidelity is used for prison labor or in other operations related to the prison industrial complex. The investment firm funds the American Legislative Exchange Council, which has created laws authorizing the increase in use of inmates in manufacturing. JCPenney's and Kmart. Kmart and JCPenney's are notorious, right? They both sell jeans made by inmates in Tennessee prisons. Airlines, American Airlines and Avis. American Airlines and the car rental company Avis uses inmates to take reservation. And those are just some of the ones, to just name a few. Remember, there's hundreds of them that are insourcing now because it's legal. It's legal.